Welcome to Leadapreneur.
Hello and welcome to the Leadapreneur podcast. I'm delighted to be your host, and today we're going to have a fascinating conversation with Sabrina. And what we're going to be doing is diving into her story, listening to where she's had to spend the blood, sweat and tears to build a truly great career. And that's going to then share some insights on how we go forward into the age of AI, being great professionals. So Sabrina, welcome aboard. Thanks for joining us today. How are you feeling?
Thank you for having me, Jan. I'm doing great. Just thank you for the opportunities. Yeah.
Well, our tradition is always to start with a little bit of fun. So, of course, we have to talk about food. What is your favorite food that gives you so much excitement and
nasi
joy?
lemak. You will never go wrong.
No, cannot.
Especially the traditional one, right, with the banana leaf.
Yes.
I think, yeah.
And what's your favorite part of the nasi lemak experience?
The sambal. Okay.
Ooh, yes.
That makes the uniqueness of it, you know? The sambal makes the difference.
And are you the kind of give me as spices as you got, or are you or what kind of?
It's
you like
kind
more
of the
flavor?
balanced, spicy, sweetness and everything.
Yeah.
So you must have the right formula to get the right sambal of it. Yeah.
Yes. But the right mix, isn't it?
Correct.
Yes. Yep. Though I know some people who like to go maximum spicy.
No, I'm not.
Me too. I'm too fragile for that. So we covered food. How about music? Do you have a favorite band?
Okay. A bit oldies, Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet's back. All
right. So yeah. That's a
I mean, that's an anthem. You know, when that comes on today, you know, as a 40-year-old man, I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Our generation. Yeah.
Great choice. So, okay. So you're eating the nasi lemak, you're listening to Backstreet Boys, right? And then do you have any animals that you like? Is there a favorite animal?
Okay. I would say butterfly.
Wow, what a beautiful.
Yeah. The reason being is if you see the life of butterflies from the egg and it evolves, it takes a process to be the butterfly.
Yes.
Right? So the evolve of it and the determinations of the butterfly, it's awesome. So that you see the process. It's not just it give birth and you become the animal, but it evolved. And I think butterflies, it's beautiful, it's timid, it's small, but yet it doesn't fly as high as bird, but it have its own world, right? So yeah, my favorite animals.
There's a lot of very beautiful butterflies here in Malaysia.
You do.
Right? And you kind of see them going when you're in the sort of the jungle and the forest.
Yes.
And they have this sort of incredible flying technique, but you know, you think they're kind of flying like crazy through, you're like, oh, watch out for the tree.
Yes,
but they fly through. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. And then you also have that element of metamorphosis, right?
Yes,
where
metamorphosis.
From egg to, I guess, caterpillar. Is that the
Caterpillar
right way?
and larva.
Yes.
And become the adult butterfly. So the evolvements of it takes, and the courage that it takes to be a butterfly and whatever it is.
Yes. Because my understanding is when the caterpillar transforms, I think the word is metamorphosis into the butterfly, right? In the pupae stage, it essentially dissolves almost its entire body.
Correct.
Right? It's like, imagine me hanging myself, dissolving everything, rearranging, and pop, I come out and I can fly.
Yes.
Do you think there's any sort of metaphor there with your own story and experience?
I put it myself, coming from a very small town, evolving myself to be who I am right now.
Yes.
I can really relate to these metamorphosis formulas, right?
Okay.
So I think each and every one of us will go through that phase.
Yes.
From how we are 20, 30 years back to who are we, right? So are we getting better? Are we evolving in our life?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the principle.
And you mentioned small town. Which small town was that?
I was born and raised in Port Dickson. If you've been to Port Dickson before.
Yes, I have. Yes.
Yes.
Lovely town.
So it's just a small village in Port Dickson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we're going to dig into your story then a little bit more, but we have a few more fun questions to ask. So we know that you like nasi lemak. Backstreet Boys are on the playlist. We're watching some butterflies. And what kind of colors bring happiness? What kind of color do you like?
I'm wearing ones. Yes. More on a dusty pink, pinky kind of girl.
Yeah. Okay. Small town girl with pink in her heart. What does that color mean to you? What does that represent?
First, it brings a confidence in me.
Yes.
Yeah, because I like it and it brings confidence. I look good in it.
Yes, you do. Yes.
So I think that's make a difference, right?
And do you feel there's sort of a certain feminine power and quality in that color?
Yeah, because maybe people say, girls synonymously is a pink, right?
Yes.
But I would say not necessarily that all girls like pinks,
Yes,
but choose what you like and what makes you happy and what makes you best.
Yeah. Because I also feel sometimes we're in an age where, from ladies I've been speaking to, they're scared to choose pink because they feel they get judged for it.
Yes.
Right?
Correct. Girls.
It's like the other way around, right? You know,
Yes.
what do you think of that kind of? Any comments on that?
That's why I say it's up to you, right? Whatever makes you happy, that makes you comfortable and good in it,
Yes.
regardless of whatever color it is. So it's not judgmental, right? We don't judge. Boys always need to like be blue, right?
I always forget. I bought another blue T-shirt.
So yeah, you can like pink too.
Yeah. I tell you what.
Try.
I tell you what. I don't tell many people this, but this is true. I have a pink hairbrush. That's my secret indulgence to kind of express a little bit of my feminine side, where I brush my hair with a pink hairbrush, and I just kind of feel tapping into, because otherwise too much blue is too much masculinity. You've got to have something there that balances out. Okay, so we covered colors. How about your favorite vacation destination?
Switzerland. That's my dream destination.
Yes. Have you been there before? Or is it
no. That's why it's always still in my dream bucket.
Yes.
That's my dream destinations. Of course, it's because of the sceneries and the nature that have its spectaculars, right? So I've seen it in the, medias and all that, but we'll be there one day.
You can and should. I got the chance to spend quite a lot of time in Switzerland, actually, in the French side mainly, but it's true. It earns its reputation.
Yeah.
Would you go in winter or in summer, or spring or autumn?
Spring would be nice.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. Well, any time in the Alps is always beautiful. Spring, really, when there's that transition.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure that you'll find one day a way to get there.
Yes, we'll do.
I mean, judging by your remarkable career, you've always found a way, right?
Yes.
So speaking of that, let's kind of jump into framing the conversation to go a little bit deeper to get to know you. And let's start with the inspirational quote. What quote can you share with us, or your own platitude that inspires you and motivates you?
Okay. I just want to give a bit background on this quote.
Yes.
If I can.
Oh, please. We're all here. We're here to listen to you, Sabrina. So let's go.
Okay.
Yes.
So those days we do have autograph books. That we do autograph and we meet someone we adore and all that. Okay. I don't think nowadays we do have. Yeah. People still practice that. But I wanted to have one. I asked my dad to buy me one autograph books.
Right.
Okay. And the moment he bought it, I said, why don't you be the first one to write on my autograph, right? So the quote that he wrote...
You asked your father?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So the quote that he wrote at that point of time that I still hold on till now is... be happy of what you have rather than to be unhappy of what you don't have.
Wow.
Right? So
be happy with what you have
rather than to be unhappy with what you don't have. Right? So in this era of people chasing something, people are competitive, people are chasing and all that. This actually keep me grounded. Keep me to be gratitude and grateful to what I have.
Yes.
People do always keep things for granted, for things that we have, the family that always support us, the friends that always be our side, the food, the health, the shelter that we have, right? So all these things we take things for granted and we didn't give that gratitude. And we are chasing something that out there for something that we don't have, right? I'm not saying that we should stop chasing our dreams to achieve more, but at the same time, we should be grateful on what we have.
I think this is one of those topics that comes up often, but there's the practice of it is to go deep within it, right? Yeah. To profoundly bring that into one's soul and way of living. And one of the things I've recently gone through some difficult health challenges in the last month. And so I've really come to reappreciate being pain-free, being healthy. It's a cliche, but I have to say, I'm back. Wow. I'm so happy to be healthy again. And I'm kind of curious to learn from you. How do you, I guess I kind of approach it as a sort of, how do I make that trade-off between pursuing the dream and being grateful for what is? Is it a sort of 50% allocation? Am I misunderstanding that? Could you share some insight on how you approach it?
I think there's no formula, a defined formula that how you do it. But I think you have to balance it out. Okay, if I have dream of something, I wanted to achieve of something, but you shouldn't be foregoing your values. Right. So in this competitive world, people tend to do that, backstabbing, all sort of politics and going around and all that. So I think to stand strong with your values, right? And chasing something that with your passions, with truthful to yourself, I think that's how it balances up. And it's okay for you to not achieving that. You have to be come to a term that it's okay for you to face the failure and to come up with that, right? So it's not always, you always have to achieve something in life. So that's how, and look at what you have right now. Be grateful. Maybe some other people don't have that, right? So I've been in these positions. Maybe I was chasing something else, but not many people would have the opportunity to be here, right? So that's how I balance it out. And it's okay if I go through failure. If I don't achieve something, this is something that keep me grounded, right? So look back and be grateful what you have.
So what I'm taking away from that, it's about being grounded in what you have gratitude for, pursuing that dream.
Yes.
But being grounded in who you are by honoring your values and not compromising those values in the pursuit of your dream.
Yes.
And that when there is a threshold where you're facing potential failure and you could potentially resolve that, but that would be at the cost of your values.
Yes.
It is better to have the maturity and courage to accept failure versus compromising your values.
Correct.
Very powerful. Thank you. Well, that sounds like a lesson you've won and learned and been forged in the fire.
That's why I have, so this code actually keep me, that's why I hold on in my life. And I think it's helpful.
And how old were you when that quote when your father first wrote that?
I think in my teenage years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's been decades now you've been.
Yeah, I still remember that.
But I think that's what's powerful, that sort of mantra-like commitment that really shapes the soul, right?
Yeah.
Right?
True.
Especially when we're facing very difficult situations. Speaking of which, let's dive into your story. And, I guess your career goes back quite a way, and maybe there's also things before your career. What would you like to tell us as sort of a key starting point in what forged you and shaped you as the professional that you are today? Mm-hmm. Is that something that was in your university or high school time, or where would you like to take us?
Yeah. So I was grateful that I was graduated in HR, and I started my career in HR as well.
Yes.
So not many people have that opportunity to pursue what they have learned and what they like, right? So I think I started my career as a HR consultant in one of the consultancy company. So very junior level.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us which one it is?
So it's a very small company of consultants company.
Okay. Here in Malaysia?
Yes, in Malaysia. Yes. So that's where I started my career as a junior consultant, servicing a lot of clients at that point of time, doing, if you know SAP HR systems, using that. So it was like very much on that. After that, I moved to one of the GLC company, government company in Malaysia.
Yes.
So I was there for 11 years where I built my career.
Okay, which company was
Shared
that?
Service. I was in Sime Darby.
Right.
So,
and what was the time period there? What year was this?
I was there for 11 years.
Yes.
So I was, that's where the passion of shared service comes, because we are the pioneer to set up the shared service back then. So
and this was the mid 2000s. What year was this then?
Yeah, 2000s plus. Yeah,
2000s, right? Okay, because that was a different world back then.
Yeah.
Some people who may be listening to this weren't even alive then.
Yeah,
right.
Correct.
If you were born in 2000, you're 25
shared
today.
service was very new.
Yes. Yes.
And people doesn't know what is shared service. What is that for? You know. And
what would you say it is, out of curiosity? Because how would you define that shared services as?
It's that like we were like to have mentums, like it takes away your administration work, right? We centralize everything at one roof, right? So that's where the idea is when we set up shared service. So at point of time, that's where I also started to build my career. Mm-hmm. I started as a junior executive, moved on to assistant team lead. Then I was involved in the transition projects. I was in Singapore, been stationed there for almost a month to learn what they're doing, transitions every task and administration task to Malaysia. Then I became a team lead. So that's where I built a career across all the function in HR shared service at that point of time.
And what drove you to do that? What's your kind of, so you were studying at university and then you decided to pursue this. What is your driving force around this, right? Is it
to tell you the truth, at very young age at point, and we don't know what we wanted to do, right? So that's the opportunity you get, you just do it.
So it's not like you're like, this is my dream, my passion. I've understood my destiny and I'm going to pursue it.
I want to do something in HR, but whether I should go and build my career in terms of this shared service or I want to become a generalist of HR, because if you talk about HR, it's quite wide range, right? You can talk about being in the HRBP, HR generalist, you can be in shared service. And across HR, we do have a lot of functions as well. Compensation benefits, you can be in employee relations, it can be compensation, it's a lot of functions within HR. Yeah. So at that point of time, I feel that as long as I'm in HR, I'm doing what I'm doing, right? But the more that you build, the more that you have experience and you know what you want, how you want to build your career then. Yeah. So that's where I feel that the more opportunities is there, because if you see at that point of time, more and more companies are going into that trend of setting up their own shared service, having a BPO kind of model, right? So I think the opportunities for me is there to grow and explore a lot. So that's where I spent more 11 years.
So there's an interesting insight here, which is that you didn't have it all figured out, but you knew you wanted to jump into the broad playground of HR.
Yes.
Right? And then as you're getting yourself into the mix and getting on with it, you are paying attention to the trends.
Yes.
Right? You're not just lost in the day-to-day, but you're doing your work, but you're stepping back and saying, where do I see things going here? You're having a bit of a strategic perspective on matters. And then you're, riding that trend, right? Because that's an important element, I think, is that you can find your path to success sometimes, not by having it figured out, but by paying attention to where you think the world is going.
Yes, correct.
Right? Okay, so then that took you to, where does that take you to in the timeline? What year are we now in?
I moved to my current company.
Right. And what year was this, just to help us understand?
It was in 2017.
Okay, yeah.
I moved to current company in Reckitt as a team lead.
Yeah. Can I ask what drove that transition? What drove that jump? Because that's a big
change
thing, right?
that I wanted to have, right? Because as I said, 11 years I have experienced multiple teams, managing teams and functions and countries that I want to look like. So I think it's a big change. And at that point of time, my current company as well, they are setting up shared service. It's a new setup, which I think I have a passion in doing that, right? Mm-hmm. So it's actually excite me to set up something, because when you have be the pioneer to start up something, you have your idea on it, right?
Yes,
you have experience, you can put your idea on it, you can build the teams that you want, the way that you want it to be, right? So that's something that excites me to move.
The move to Reckitt.
Yes.
So that kind of comes across to me as this entrepreneurial journey. So you're doing your own, it's almost like you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But you're within the organizational environment. So I think this is a key element of understanding this new working reality is entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Is a whole concept where, because I think what's often easily misunderstood is when you're an entrepreneur, you have no organizational environment. And that's, you have no box. And actually that's the problem, right? Because it's really hard without a box. So it's a whole skill set to be able to be entrepreneurial, because you also have to factor in things like politics, right? Organizational bureaucracy and other factors of the organization.
Yeah.
And so you discovered your passion for driving that. What kind of made you feel that you were, dare I say, ready to leap into that kind of role? Because sometimes people are not so confident in themselves. They've been in one role for 11 years. You can maybe feel a bit stuck, a bit stagnant, right? It's quite a leap to do that. Could you share a little bit about the emotions that drove you to make that decision?
I think it's not an easy decision, definitely, right? Because when you already been too long in your company, you're already in that comfort zone.
Yes.
Right? You have your own colleagues, your own way of work. You already get gel into that environment, the way that of workings and all that. So I think to break that everything, right? It's not an easy decision for me, though. But I think I need to make change. If not now, I will never make that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Let's go a bit deeper into that, because the language is powerful, right? That because it takes courage to break things.
Correct.
It's easier just to keep rolling with it. Why did you dare to do that, right?
Because I feel that I've already been in that comfort zone, right?
Yes.
I don't feel that will there be a more learning curve for me if I'm going to stay.
Yes.
If I'm going to be more that I can explore on, right? So that's why I made that big decisions of breaking that. And I wouldn't know. I was taking a risk over
Yes.
there as well, right? Because
course,
I
yes.
don't know whether Reckitt would give me that what I want.
Yes.
Right. So that is not an easy decision. But of course, I do a lot of readings and talking to people, what's their view on this and all that. I think that's also important, right? Because when we talk to people, people give you a different perspective on how you can navigate this. But ultimately, the decision's on you, right?
Right.
So,
yes.
but it gives you some insights on how you can make that decisions though. But that pushing and pulling factor that makes me is whether is there anything more for me?
Right. And you know, when you're at that point in your career, it's easy to default to the easy path.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just say, okay, Bolela, can to stay here? It's good.
I'm not that kind of person, to be complacent of what I have, right? It's like, of course, you can just do your work, go back, get your salary, but is that what you want? Is that it's individual. I'm not judging that couldn't be, but people are very. There could be people that they want that kind of life and all that, right? But I wanted to explore things. So, and that's where the move is necessary at that point of time for me to make and learn.
Yeah. And how do you think, because I always, I totally resonate with that sense of exploration. You have to have that courage to explore because you haven't got it figured out.
Yeah.
And to be a good explorer, you need to be lost.
Yeah.
Right? If you know where you're going, then you're not really exploring, right? In that essential sense. But it can also be very scary and inherently uncertain, confusing.
Definitely.
How did you find your way through that uncertainty and chaotic space and not knowing?
Yeah.
Especially especially in that point of your career, right?
Yes.
Easier to do when you're at the beginning of your career.
Yes.
When you're further into it, it can be harder.
And I'm taking a big risk on that because definitely it's my income, right? I have family, I have bills to settle and everything.
Yes, right.
So we don't know what's going to happen. And I already have, my circle of colleagues, my manager that we already have that. So now I have to build the whole network all together from fresh, right? Finding my friends, to have that network, to get to know people and how things works. Because when I moved, it was a completely different systems, HR systems. It's a completely different industries. So from very plantations, property-based companies to FMCG companies, right? So it's a totally different business. Right. And to have something in a company that government linked, it's Malaysia based, to have multinational companies in UK based, to deal with people. So everything is changing for me at that point of time. So I think, as you say, it takes a bit courage for me and also a risk that I'm taking. But as I say, if I don't take at that point of time, it will not shape me who I am today. Right. So that's the steps I take.
So now you've been with Reckitt
almost 8 years.
Almost 8 years. And so is there anything else you'd like to add to that story as we come to now in terms of your pursuit of being a great professional?
Yeah, I think the learning curve that I went through, right, from a junior executive to when I left, is almost like team lead levels.
Right.
So I think the journey that I went through over there, it's really teach me on, I would say, the resilience. To be there, to learn, because at junior level, you need to be more open of learning.
Right.
Right. So whatever that been passed to you is challenging because people would tend to, just pass the junior, right? But take it as a learning curve, right? So I learned a lot in terms of the work itself, right? Not more on the managerial skill at that point of time, but to be good at what you do, right? So I learned a lot in terms of my work polishing, and that's where an experience where I was given the opportunity to be one of the members in to be transitions to Singapore operations, working together with the consultants and all that. So it's totally a new experience for me. To be there, to be a part of the projects and all that. So the learning curve, I would say that don't take it as a, every challenges that I go through,
Yes.
from being a junior executive to what I am, I think that shapes up a person actually.
So kind of what I'm seeing and hearing here is that you started at the bottom, right? And you worked your way steady and consistently, and it's just, I mean, it's not even doing the grind, but learning how to be good at every level, working your way up, understanding, you're transforming the challenges you face into an opportunity to learn and grow, demonstrating the growth mindset there, right? And in that, you're kind of being forged in the fire to be tested, and then that you're demonstrating you're ready to keep rising up. And then, because I think that's a really important element of today, where it sometimes there's a desire just to leap quickly into success, right? And I think part of what's misunderstood is when you make that leap, you haven't been forged in the fire. So you're not ready. You think you're ready, but my gosh, things are much harder than you think they were, right? It's easy to look up and say, oh, that's so easy. And it's easy in the sense that they don't have the problems you have. But there's a whole bunch of other problems you never thought about that come to you, right? And so then you've made that leap then into this new experience with Reckitt Benckiser. And then you are, how would you describe yourself today?
I think the experience that I have, I put it all in Reckitt when we started the shared services at that point of time. So we started with a very small team at a very small scale of the services.
How small? What's a
We just, at that point of time, limited services that we are giving out. And we started out with the ASEAN countries, not very going global at that point of time, with limited services. And we grow as the year grows. And
but how many people? I think that was always a good way to
when we started we do have about 15 people.
Okay.
At all levels. We have assistant managers, and of course
and what
the
has
team
that
members.
grown into now? Starting from 15?
We do have over 30 people in KL, and we do have other hubs around the world as well. So we do have in Hyderabad, Mexico, and Poland. So that reach.
Wow.
Right.
What a mix.
Yeah. So it's like it's going big, right? So that's where I think more in terms of building the career in Reckitt, I build the experience, I build the knowledge, the leadership, management skills, and all that. So, being team lead, then was moved to the assistant manager, and I'm a senior manager now, looking into hire to retire process in Reckitt Shared Service. So that's how the career moved in my journey.
And so as you're looking back on this story, I want to dive a little bit deeper now into that, the price of greatness is blood, sweat, and tears, right? You speak so elegantly about this journey. And yet I suspect there are probably some pretty tough moments along the way. Can you share any about that in the context of maybe, when do you feel you really worked crazy hard, or that was a moment that really tested you to the max? Can you tell us about that?
I think the recent projects that we went through, HR transformation projects. It's a 2-year project. We completed more than 50 over countries in 6 sprints, covering South Asia, Australia, New Zealand, North America, Latin America, Europe countries, ASEAN, and Middle East, African continents. More than 50 over countries in 2 years.
And you were leading that transformation?
Yeah, it was. I'm part of the projects, leading my services from KL.
What made that so difficult? Help us understand.
The challenges is
how many hours are you working?
that long hours.
Come on, give us, spill the tea. Come on, tell us. What's the secret here?
The long hours, because
is it like
you
50
need
hours
to,
a week? 60?
Okay, literally, like we're working more than 15 hours in a day.
5 days a week?
5 days a week.
Right, so that's 75 hours.
So,
my gosh.
So it's like, because it's a lot of things to be done when you're in projects, right? So you need to, and when you talk about all this country, it comes with a lot of uniqueness in terms of their legal requirements, in terms of their process. So to sit down in every meetings to actually to understand their process, to understand their requirements,
Right.
yeah, the way that how they're doing things and all that, and then you need to do a lot of collaborations. It's not only with your markets, HR, you need to do with the IT, you need to with the projects team, you need to do with the consultants, a lot of collaborations. So tell me, my calendar was like very colorful.
Yeah.
I can't find where is the, it's super colorful.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I think the challenges is like when we were managing North America and Latin America, the time zone difference.
Right.
So,
and that seems to be a big factor in work today. Many of the professionals I'm speaking to in this sort of post-global era, there's that challenge of there's a US team, there's a Europe team, there's an Asia team. You have to connect and coordinate.
Correct.
And you have to do that it's not just 1 week or 1 month, but it's a way of working, right? So you're doing, because I think it's really important today to understand just what it takes, right? So you're doing 5 hours a week. Not only that, but you're coordinating across global time zones, which is really tough. Not only that, but it's not like you're doing the same thing in it. It's not like you're just doing a simple thing.
Yeah.
You're having to jump into consultants, jump into different legal terms, understand whole new realities. That the switching cost is very high.
Yes.
Right? Because you're switching across countries, domains, cultures. The way you interact with someone in Poland is not the same as someone in Hyderabad, right?
Correct.
So there's a lot of other skills that you're developing there. What do you think was one of the sort of critical skills that has helped you be successful in approaching this?
Agility and adaptability. Yeah, and so because it's a changing the total way of how it works.
Yeah.
Right. So you are changing the mindset of your own self, actually.
Right.
Right. Before we talk about to change people, this is how the process that you wanted to follow. You have to change your mindset first and to accept, to know that this is going to work. Right. And I have to believe that before I sell to people.
Right.
Right. So to change my own mindset, my team mindsets, right, to go into the same goal. I cannot be going north and they're going west. Right. So it's like that's actually the challenging part. Right.
So am I correct in understanding that when you're saying an agility, it's sort of you have an idea of I think we should do A, and you have a belief in that, but then for various reasons, data tells you that maybe that's not the right approach. Maybe a team member says actually B is the right approach, and you have to have the mental, the mindset agility to swap from this to this.
Correct.
And that, because I think foundationally what's actually at a core level happening there is you're overcoming your ego. You're overcoming ego in the sense of there's a foundational difference between focusing on being right and focusing on getting it right.
Yeah.
Right. Being aligned. And so you have the courage as a leader to say, I think we should go in this direction, but you also have the humility to listen. Understand there's new directions that need to get over, that you necessarily didn't generate that solution. It's coming from somewhere else, but you're leading the team to pivot and respond rapidly.
Correct.
And not just once, but again and again and again and again.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. I think as a leader, right, you don't have to like have a mindset that I know everything. I know it well. Right. I've done that before because people on the ground, there are the people who are doing that, the operations. They know better than you. They have a very great idea that you don't foresee, right? So if you are not open to that ideas, you're not open to their feedbacks, it's very difficult. But it doesn't necessarily that every time that you listen to these ideas and feedbacks that you're changing your goals.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So you need to have the ultimate goals and how you redefine that goals based on the feedbacks and the ideas is.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm balancing out and bringing the teams towards the same goals. So I think the change management part was the challenging to actually to sell the ideas the way that it was working. And as you said, that it's not every regions and all that have the same mentality to accept that. People may be more open in certain areas. They are very, very reluctant to change and hold on to their processes at certain areas, right? So how do you sell, how you convince them, how you make them to see that how this is going to work. So that's the challenging part.
And that's a whole new skill set compared to traditional hierarchical management, which just says, hey, do what I say, right? Command and control. It sounds like you're because you're recognizing that the solutioning lies in the frontline ability. They know.
Yes.
It's no longer that you need to be this sort of all-knowing oracle that can solve everything.
Correct.
In fact, you're recognizing the limitations. You have the humility. You're perhaps taking on more of a coaching role in helping that person because you have the goals in mind. And it's about listening to that person or that team and coaching them to find the pathway through uncertainty to achieving that goal.
Yeah.
So is that something then that you think is how do you find that balance of coaching somebody, but then they're also resistant to change? And, because there's that fountain, is that in the end, are you going to change or not? Right.
Right. So
how do you address that?
We need to accept that we have a different, people, right? Even though it's the same team or the same location. So in front of your eyes, we can see a differences in them. Some are very open to learn.
Yes.
Open to accept challenges, accept new things, some are very reluctant. Why me? Why not like that? Right.
And how do you address that then?
Yeah.
So I think that's something the audience will be really interested in, right? You've got the willing, right?
Yes.
And then you've got the resistors and you've got those in the middle, right? And what's your approach to sort of the resistors there? And
I think it's to balancing up. It's not that, those who doesn't want, I just leave it beside, I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to do it. It's like how you balance it up, right? So those who are willing, right, they do have that pushing factor to bring their colleagues together, right? So this is where the team works. And I think also is what they cannot see is what I will get out of it, right? End of the day, I get my salary and move on, right? So what better that I can get if I'm doing this, right? So I think this is something that we need to really be transparent to them. What is expected and what actually that builds you. It doesn't necessarily be on monetary basis, right? What are the exposure that you get, right? I always tell that the experience that you will go through, the exposure that you will go through, it's more than monetary things that you will get at the end of it. Right. So I think it's something that we make them to understand. All right. And I say, I can only prepare you the stage, how you want to dance, how you want to perform. It's up to you. Right. So it's my responsibility to prepare that stage for you.
Yes. I think that's a really mature approach, right? Because in the end, we're working as adults, right?
Yes.
And it's like, hey, the stage is there and you can step in and see that as an opportunity for experience and exposure. Or you can't, because as we, kind of want to move the conversation to the last bit of the podcast segment, which is of course looking ahead to the age of AI, and we've seen right now Intel's cut 28,000 jobs, right? And I'm sure a lot of those people knew technology, right? DBS Bank, an client we've worked with for many years, just announced that they're going to be cutting 4,000 temporary workers due to AI. It's probably just the tip of the iceberg. Right. And that's where I think that part of what we believe as Leadapreneur is the way in which you can be confident in securing your career is demonstrating ROI, demonstrating that you're a professional who creates really good ROI for the organization. You're a high value contributor. So kind of setting that stage as someone in the position that you have, what are you thinking about in terms of the age of AI, in terms from an HR perspective, and how do you see professionals being great and navigating their career forward?
I think, it's no more an option. It's no more a choice.
Right.
Right.
It's here.
It's here. And it's an in thing that you need to adapt. Right. Yes. So, and of course, it's create a lot of uncertainties in people. AI comes to take out my job. That's not the purpose of AI, actually. So I think the organizations needs to be very clear when adapting to this AI, how they balance it out, the technology, digitalizations, and human elements. Right. The human element is still needed at that, the AI is only supporting to drive your efficiency.
Yes.
To drive, whatever routine works that you have, right? Administrative work that you have to automate a lot of things. But the decision making, the problem solving, the human elements, the collaborations, right? That still sits with the human.
And can you share some examples of how you're putting this into practice in your current work?
You take as an AI as your decision making, as a partner in your decision making tool.
Right.
Right. Nowadays, everything is data. You do a data analytics in terms of whatever it is. Right. The AI will give you some analysis based on this trend, whatever it is. Right. But the problem solving and the decision making still sits with you.
Yes.
right? So this is something that we want people to see, that it's not completely taken away your job, but it's actually evolving your job, right? From people that doing a very administrative work, right? If you see how it works 30, 40 years ago, and we used to put everything on logbook.
Yeah. Pen and paper. Yeah.
We evolved to Microsoft Excel. So now it's everything AI. You talk about everything, okay, ChatGPT, even the small kids, right? And now we're talking about ChatGPT, the DeepSeek is there. Then another 3 months, another tools will come in. It will evolve. Yes. You have no choice of not adapting to it.
Right. So based on that, what would you say, is something you think is essential to be great in the age of AI? Not just to be good, but to be great at your full potential. Based on this experience and this extraordinary journey you've been on, what is that thing you think?
Take
really
AI
matters?
as your partner, right? In everything. It means whatever, for example, as I said, decision making. They are your partner in decision making. They are partner in your doing your analysis. They are partner for driving the efficiencies in your work, in your process. They are the partner to give you the knowledge on how to maneuver things.
Yes.
So it's a partner for you. It's not completely taking over what you're good at.
Yeah.
Right. So the human element is still there. It's still needed in the organizations, but it add on and driving the efficiency.
So what I'm taking away from you there is what you're saying is it's here. It's not going to go away. It's going to continue to accelerate. And that's a fundamental shift in reality.
Yep.
That foundationally, to be a great professional will require you to work with AI in a partnership-like structure.
Yes.
Like it's not just a little bit of a Google search here and there kind of idea.
Yep.
It's a brainstorming buddy that is a sort of not quite symbiotic, but something along that lines,
Yes.
right? And then to be able to, I guess, bring that into your way of working in a way that is consistently allowing you to be super productive. Because part of what recently I read a stat that the new AI companies, a company like Midjourney, has 20 employees and $200 million in revenue. We're seeing this new frontier of productivity, of talent,
Yes.
right? Where it's not 10% better, it's 100, 1,000, 10,000% better as you become supercharged with this AI productivity capability. So we're coming towards the end. I'd like to open up and invite you to share anything that you think is passionate in your heart that you'd like our audience to know. Is there a message you'd like to bring to the world?
I think in this world, it's getting challenging and more challenging. The way that we wanted to navigate our things is how you adapt, how you agile yourself in terms of the changing environment, right? I'm a baby boomer. How do I take that changing the way that it's the way of working, the way of the technology is? Be open, right? You don't resist yourself with the changes, right? So how much you can adapt to the changes and be agile, the more it will be helping you moving forward. So I think that's the message that I want.
Well, dear audience, we're coming to the end of the podcast. We've had the stories of Sabrina inspiring us and telling us that at the heart of the age of AI is a professional who is partnering with this incredible technology and also demonstrates a humility in their agility, that they're able to shift their mindsets quickly.
Yep.
Because it's not just about being right in any one moment. It's about accelerating forward and getting the goals delivered, finding the pathway through that. So, Sabrina, it's been a real pleasure. I'd like to say thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you so much for the opportunities.
I've been inspired. Love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.